I think I found the one new life in my lungs. I'm guessing this is love. Pumping through my veins, killing all my pain. You're the remedy to my heartbreak. Won't have it any other way. Hope this never dies. Nothing else feels so right. Every time you look at me, I'm on a high. I need your love because it makes me feel alive. With the music playing, it's so easy to believe that nothing else feels so right. Every time you look at me, I'm on a high. I need your love because it makes me feel alive. With the music playing, it's so easy to believe that nothing else feels so right. I feel a little strange. It goes straight to my brain, driving me oh so crazy, crazy, crazy. Between the sound and lights, you got me hypnotized. And if there ever comes a sunrise, will that be just fine? This will never die. Nothing else feels so right. Every time you look at me, I'm on a high. I need your love because it makes me feel alive. With the music playing, it's so easy to believe that nothing else feels so right. Every time you look at me, I'm on a high. I need your love because it makes me feel alive. With the music playing, it's so easy to believe that nothing else feels so right. I'm hanging on every word you said. You're the song stuck in my head, and I love it. Guessing this is love. Every time you look at me, I'm on a high. I need your love because it makes me feel alive. With the music playing, it's so easy to believe that nothing else feels so right. You're so right, yeah. I need your love because it makes me feel alive. With the music playing, it's so easy to believe that nothing else feels so right. Every time you look at me, I'm on a high. I need your love because it makes me feel alive. When the music plays, it's so easy to believe that nothing else feels so right. Every time you look at me, nothing else feels so right.
You're listening to the RM Podcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and filling in for Mr. Keith Cheatham this week. Who's that in his chair?
Keith Cheatham.
That was his look. She
That's
nailed
what I
it.
was trying to
She
do.
did
She
nail
nailed
his
it.
look. That's true.
Aaron Boyd.
Boyd. She's back with us, guys. She went and saw the movie, and we thought, why not? You can come on here and give us your 2 cents.
Or I went and seen the movie because I was coming on here.
Well, that's true, too. You were like, hey, all right, I want to join in, so why not? Oh, and the lovely moon shirts. I just love seeing it. It's like we're real.
Red moon.
So how is everybody this week? How's everybody's week been?
You go first.
Has it been stressful or something? That was a sigh.
I'm just really tired.
Yeah?
And probably a little shaky because for the first time in like 10 years, I had a 5-hour energy drink.
Oh, man. Yeah, that'll do it.
A little sneak peek into our
How long ago was
segment.
that?
It was I don't remember.
Just before you got here? Or?
No,
It
no.
seems like it.
But
I
it's
think she's just
the
waking up.
So
jitters
she
are
was a
just
little on
not
edge in the hallway
hitting
back
me.
there. So
I wonder why, Sean. Why could that have been?
I wasn't expecting that reaction at all.
At all?
No, she fell to her knees and praised Jesus.
Because
Like,
well, actually, it was funny because Aaron, you just showed up maybe 5 minutes just before we hit air,
Yeah.
and no hi, no hello. I hear my little alarm beep
Straight
go off.
to the bathroom.
Straight to the bathroom. It's like,
bathroom.
hey, you know what? Mi casa su casa, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
it's all right.
you gotta go. You gotta
know?
go. You know.
That's right.
True.
Gotta go. Right
What
now.
line is that from?
You
What
gotta-
movie? When you gotta go, you gotta go.
I have no idea.
Oh, come on! It's a classic.
I don't know. I'm just here.
You're all right.
I'm
doesn't
interested,
even-
though. Go ahead.
Do you not know either, Sean?
No.
Jurassic Park.
Oh, really?
When he says yes,
That's been said way
what?
before
But
Jurassic
it's still
Park.
it's iconic when the lawyer runs out
Yeah.
and he's just like, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
I know.
And
but
it's
he,
right before
he
the
got
T-Rex.
that from somebody else.
All right.
So,
Well,
I'm
we
not
do.
I'm not giving you that one.
Fine. Y'all can.
No, life finds a way. That's Jurassic
All right,
Park.
that is true.
You've
But
never
it's
heard
funny that
before.
you brought up sleep and how tired you are because
Yeah.
that is our Vices segment this
Mhm.
week.
Mm.
Is specifically talking about how do we prioritize sleep and do we make it
Right.
a priority?
Wow.
Or
and I did not do this for prep for that segment.
but it is true that you're running on zero. You're running on empty.
A little bit. We'll talk
Okay.
about it later.
Yeah. We'll talk about it then. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
coming. But we do have a great review.
Great.
Latest Fast and the Furious franchise. Actually, kind of wasn't, I guess, fans weren't too impressed, or at least not wanting
Yeah.
to flock to the theater to see
know
it. Lowest opening for a Fast and Furious film. Although it's still 60 mil, it's not bad. Not bad for an opening weekend. I still think it'll be okay. I think it'll creep up the charts even
Okay.
more.
They're calling it a bomb, but I just read
Really?
an article a minute ago that said it's a bomb,
That
but
it's
it's not
not-
bad. But it's not a bad movie. So it's just
Maybe it's
it's
considered
one of
a
the
bomb.
first box office bombs this summer. That
Well, and maybe it's
Compared to the
because
other?
exactly
Compared to other
other
ones,
Fast
yeah.
and Furious, which they are saying is the lowest grossing in the series so far in the last 9 years.
Well, when you advertise
So-
Hobbs and Shaw,
Well, true. But the thing is that was the major selling point was Statham and The Rock.
Yep.
It's like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Jason's. Well, I like the way Keith says Statham.
I always thought it was
It's
Statham.
Statham.
Statham?
Oh, Statham?
I thought it was Statham.
I don't know. I'm not sure. That's a good question.
are you
Oh,
guys
well.
even movie
Potato,
critics?
potato. Wow.
You don't
Huh.
even know.
Well, I think we're
I'm
gonna
sorry,
find
I've
out.
not had any sleep. I
Yeah,
might
she's
be a
She's
little
coming out
weird.
and firing
You
right
don't even
away.
know.
My gosh.
All right, let's get going here.
Let's listen to the review.
I guess, yeah, all right, fine. Okay. We'll just dive right
So
in.
much for
My
icebreakers.
goodness.
They're never gonna let me sit here again.
Here's the review of Hobbs and Shaw. The following is a review by Keith Cheatham. Remember a time when film sagas lasted 3 movies? Remember when the only series to have more than 3 sequels were either extremely bad horror sequels or the Rocky and Bond franchises? Just like Pepperidge Farm's, Red Moon remembers. Star Wars received more sequels, Lord of the Rings got The Hobbit. Mission Impossible made a comeback and never quit. Then Marvel came and completely rewrote the playbook. Now we don't have trilogies, we have cinematic universes, and every production company wants their own. Universal has The Fast and the Furious. What started as a modest heist and racing exhibition film grew into something ridiculous. But it's ridiculous in a great way. Now, Fast and the Furious' first spin-off, the first film creating an even larger universe for the series, has released, and it's everything you could hope for from the series. Fast and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw is, to say the least, the most fun I've had all summer. Don't get me wrong, the biggest blockbuster of the year is and will remain Avengers Endgame. But while I loved Endgame and felt it fulfilling, it had too much to wrap up and needed to maintain a somber tone through a significant portion of the film. Hobbs and Shaw, however, while still part of a larger series and thus under the rules set by that series, doesn't have such dire circumstances to contend with. In fact, every Fast film has a fairly self-contained story. Yes, plot threads extend from film to film on occasion, but nothing so extravagant as Marvel. Due to this, Hobbs and Shaw gets to be exactly what everyone continues to go to Fast and Furious movies to see: an adrenaline rush of fast cars, gorgeous women, hokey yet hilarious one-liners, fights, and explosions. Hobbs and Shaw delivers all of this with a bonus. It was clear in The Fate of the Furious that teaming up Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Luke Hobbs and Jason Statham's Deckard Shaw were the standout moments of the film. Their on-screen chemistry was hilarious and fun to watch, and now the entire film is centered around those two. When MI6 agent Haiti Shaw, played by Vanessa Kirby, is framed for killing her team and stealing a new experimental virus, it's up to the older brother Deckard Shaw to reluctantly team up with an ex-DSS agent, Hobbs, to track her down and clear her name. In their way is terrorist organization Eaton, who believes in helping humanity evolve by eliminating the weak. Eaton has sent cybernetically enhanced agent Brixton Lore, played by Idris Elba, to obtain the virus and recruit Hobbs and Shaw to Eaton's team by any means necessary. What ensues is a wild ride full of the most over-the-top action sequences that you can't help but grin at, with a good dose of heart, because with any Fast and the Furious film, family will always be a major theme, and it plays heavily into this spin-off as well. The movie is exactly what I was hoping for. Yes, there are plenty of moments that defy logic, but these films have excelled at bending what's realistic and what the audience can accept for a while. Admittedly, there are a few lazy moments where the script doesn't even bother to offer a sensible way around an issue, such as The Rock just slapping a chain back onto a crank while a helicopter is pulling away on the other end of it. But the whole sequence around it is just so mind-boggling stupid fun that it's easy to just roll with it. The acting is on par, if not better, than the rest of the series. The banter between The Rock and Statham as their respective characters is even greater than in Fate of the Furious, and both actors know their roles well. Vanessa Kirby as Haiti Shaw is a refreshing new addition, able to trade blows and quips with both The Rock and Statham, without succumbing to the "I am woman and can do without men" trope. Yes, she's a badass, but she's not so over the top that she could win a one-on-one fight against the likes of The Rock, keeping her believable. Idris Elba offers a perfectly good villain for the heroes to flex their muscles against, and even he's not as compelling as Statham, who was a good enough villain to be brought back and made one of the good guys. He still offers a good look into Eden, which promises to be a unique enemy organization in the franchise moving forward. All in all, the movie is a solid summer blockbuster that delivers on what it should, while even growing the overall world of the larger series. If that's not a successful spin-off, I don't know what is. It's not perfect by any means, but what Fast and the Furious film is? I give Fast and the Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw 3 out of 4 stars.
All right, 3 out of 4 stars
Heyo.
from Keith. I would say,
He sounded a little different.
yeah, he did.
Just
That was Brandon
tad.
reading. I don't know why
I mean,
he does
I
that.
mentioned, hey, a review by Keith Cheatham.
He does. He starts. He gives
A
credit
little
where it's due.
joking, A little joking.
Let's go around the table. We'll start with Aaron, since we usually start with Keith.
Yeah,
She's filling his chair.
that's true.
And
A
so,
lot
what
of
do you think?
pressure. Honestly, I was leaning at like 2.5, 3 stars.
Okay, okay.
I really enjoyed
More,
it.
which kind of more on the side of 2.5 or more on the side of 3? What would you like? Lower end, higher
I
end?
personally would say, oh man, that's so hard. I would probably say more on the side of 3 because I feel like there was more good than bad of what I thought was bad.
Okay, all right. Well,
That's so surprising to me because I was like, oh my god, they're gonna joke on me because I liked this.
no,
Fast
no,
and
no,
Furious
not at all.
movie.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
We've
I actually
always
would have
said with the Fast and Furious franchise, it's always like, you know what you're going in to see when you go to see one of those films. You're going to see the mindless action. You're going to
Right.
see the crazy stunts,
the big set,
the
piece.
explosions, the camaraderie between the two characters or the family of characters in the Fast and Furious movies. So I would agree with 3 stars, which is unusual for me because I kind of think the Fast and the Furious movies, most of them are kind of dumb. But for what it was supposed to be, it nailed it. And I would rather see more of these movies than more
Right.
Fast and the Furious movies.
Exactly. No,
So-
I couldn't agree more. To me, it was, again, for one, I thought it was interesting because it's Fast and Furious Presents.
Right.
And
I was
so-
gonna say that.
yeah.
Am I getting good at this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh my god.
Ever since you
You're-
got married, good job, Josh.
You've whipped her to shape.
you knocked some sense into me. Anyway, go ahead.
No, but I was just going to say, I think that for me, the Fast and Furious Presents kind of gives it that edge of, all right, it's not necessarily in the same vein
Right.
as those movies. And I honestly think that's why it gave them a little bit more liberty to just completely go crazy
Yep.
and off the wall with their,
Well,
antics and what set pieces they
The
did
last
deliver.
Fast and the Furious movie had a submarine coming up.
True, it was hard to- yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on in that film that I felt like maybe even at times were more over the top than in this film.
Right.
So I wouldn't say that it gave it more room. I think it was a Fast and the Furious movie. It
Yeah.
had characters from those movies. I don't even think it felt like a spin-off as much as it was just a sequel featuring some other characters from that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Fast and the Furious 3 was Tyrese Gibson, right? No, which
Uh,
one? Which is the one that was in Japan?
No, that was
Tokyo
2,
Drift.
Tokyo, Drift. Yeah.
and
yeah.
that one was
two.
that one lacked Paul Walker.
Yep.
So your main
And Vin
character wasn't in
Diesel.
it, and Vin Diesel, but
Yep.
but that wasn't considered a spin-off. That was just a sequel.
Yeah, it was a
even though it
sequel.
really had nothing to do with what went on in the other movie. So I feel like this is almost the same thing. It's just another set of characters that you've already been introduced to in previous films, and
Expanding on.
yeah, because they're popular characters in the other films.
Right.
Everybody loves. Oh, and I even loved the nod to the Italian Job. Like, I mean, I
Yes,
don't want
I
to
like
give
that too.
too much away, but I mean, it's not really a movie you can spoil. But
No, but also the
it-
fact that
again,
Jason Statham had played in that
played
movie. Yeah.
fun to what has already been done with these
Right.
action movies that the both actors had been in.
Right.
And I really like that. It was like, if you know you can make fun of your own movie in a little bit of way, and then
Well, heck,
that's one of the things that I enjoyed about it.
I mean, I read the review for Keith, but should we get Keith on the phone?
is he available?
I think he's available.
Are you
let's,
sure?
Yeah, no. Let's try. Let's try to get Keith on the phone right
Hmm.
now. Let's see if he's available. to-
Beam him up.
He's watching.
Oh,
Well, he better be able to pick up.
Hello.
Hey, Keith,
hello, Keith.
you're still on the
Oh,
job,
hey.
aren't you?
Well, sometimes.
Well, we won't tell your employer or anything.
Well, I'm technically done working now. I just haven't left the work site yet.
Okay. Well,
Oh.
we thank you for joining it. We just heard your review. You
Yeah.
gave it 3 out of 4 stars. Been talking about it a little bit.
Yeah, I listened to some of what you are saying. Tokyo Drift is the third movie, by the way.
Oh, the third movie?
Yes, that was the
Oh,
third movie.
okay.
I
What?
thought it was the third. But
Who's the second one? What was the second one
was
about?
Too Fast.
That was Too
Furious.
Fast, Too Furious.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
Gosh,
But
I'm
that one was
terrible.
the first one that Tyrese Gibson was in.
Well, but
Okay.
but Tokyo Drift is considered.
Tyrese Gibson's not in Tokyo Drift.
He's not in that one.
Right.
That was,
No.
but that one had nothing to. Well,
Han.
It's-
Han was introduced in Tokyo
Right.
Drift.
yeah.
And it is considered to be like the weakest of all the Fast and Furious, correct? I mean, that's what I've heard from
By
fans. and-
most people. They were just. Some people are okay with it. It's just they were upset because there was no Paul Walker or Vin Diesel. They had no starring characters. But I mean, that was back when they really didn't even know they were going to have this huge series. They made the first one as a success. They did a sequel. It was a success. They wanted a third one, but they couldn't get either Vin Diesel or Paul Walker back. So they were just like, screw it. We'll make just a random racing movie.
Yeah, Tokyo.
Well, you heard a little bit of what Sean was saying there too, in terms of like how it connecting it with the Fast and the Furious franchise, but also, kind of trying to part ways. But did you think it felt like a different film than the other Fast and Furious movies, or did
I
it
think some
fit
of the
right at
sci-fi
home?
element was definitely. I mean, they've introduced a little bit of the sci-fi element with the God's Eye and with Cypher and Fate of the Eight, but this one really upped that.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I think they kind of did that to give it kind of its own thing. I think the whole Etienne idea was just to give, Deckard Shaw this previous history and this antagonist that they could move forward with in the future. So that was a little different. I mean, yeah, it mostly still felt like Fast and the Furious, but I mean, it's
See, I
going to. It's still
disagree.
supposed to be. I don't even though this is billed as a spinoff, it's really.
Oh,
Oh,
I
we
might have
just-
lost him. Hold
we're
on.
just losing?
Uh-oh.
Well, that's
That
kinda
was on.
rude.
Keith, are you
Hold
there?
on, Keith. We're getting you back. It's all on me. This is all on me. My bad.
You
Oh,
didn't have to hang up on him just because I
you're still
disagree.
there, Keith, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, there
There
you
he
are.
is.
Yeah.
Trying to
What I
get you to
was-
where
what
you
I
can
was
hear
saying was
Aaron.
basically, that I feel like even though this is billed as a spin-off,
Oh my gosh!
Brandon, stop.
I know. I got
It's our
messing with it.
satellite feed.
It's-
Our satellite feed's down.
Say that one more time, Keith. Sorry.
okay, I was saying even though this is billed as a spin-off, which it is, but I mean it still feels like Fast and the Furious, which it should, because I view this more like them trying to make their own like cinematic universe like Marvel. It's like you have the main Fast and the Furious films, which is about that core crew, which is Vin Diesel's crew.
Yeah.
But with this, they were able to say, okay, that crew's not in it. This is just The Rock and Jason Statham, because they have become two of the most popular characters in the series at this point.
Right.
And they really wanted to bank off of that success and make more money, because they knew they were like pretty much the highlight of Fate of the Eight or Fate of the Furious.
Which
not
is
Fate of
funny
the Eight.
because that's exactly why people are groveling about it not having been a successful opening like they were expecting or
Yeah.
hoping for. But Aaron, you were bringing up a point.
Yeah, I see. I disagree in the fact that it still felt like the Fast and the Furious. I felt like it had moments where it felt like that. I felt like they just kind of showed the cars briefly, but then I kept going because part of me was torn. I kept thinking like, oh, I'm so attached to these other characters that have been in the other movies. This is not Fast and the Furious. And then I was just finally like, okay, this is called Fast and the Furious Presents.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
not Fast and the Furious. So I had to
Yep.
like retrain my brain and get myself out of my emotions of
Right.
the other. And then you could clearly see it was foundation of building their own team,
Yeah,
Right.
Their own family.
their own family to continue
Which
this.
and that was the one thing about it that Keith mentioned in his review, and I agree. It's like the one thing that's prevalent throughout Fast and the Furious, and especially that they established in this about family being a central part,
Yeah.
and a central plot theme throughout the movie. And it's like I like that they still continued that thread to kind of connect the universes, but then almost with Idris Elba's villainous character, it's like the first time we kind of see a humanoid like cyborg type character enhanced by machine. It's like I agree like with Keith in that kind of taking it further with that sci-fi element helped I think establish it as a separate entity within the Fast and Furious like world.
Right.
And
No,
I thought
would
they
agree with
did that well. I thought they
Yeah.
did it well enough, and it paid off. And again, with all of the crazy over the top action and set pieces that you come to expect, but at the same time still establishing itself as a its own series
Yeah.
that they're about
Yeah.
to embark on.
Well, I'll ask. Go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I honestly didn't expect a lot going into this movie other than to just be entertained by mindless
either.
action.
Yeah.
And I was impressed that it actually, yes, it was mostly mindless action, but I mean, I was actually impressed by the level of the plot. Like, I mean, it wasn't anything special, but I mean, it's still like the theme of family and the character development was there,
Yeah.
and it was decent. So I was like, wow, this actually did more than what I thought it would.
I completely agree. Any more thoughts, guys?
I was going to ask what you all thought about the cameos that were in it. Nobody, I mean, unless you really dug deep on the internet to find out about this movie, most people didn't even know Ryan Reynolds was going to be in it.
Right.
So
I
to
didn't
have him show up and
I didn't know
actually,
Kevin Hart was going to
yeah,
be in
Kevin
it.
Yeah,
Hart,
that was
you know,
another good
there's
one,
two
yeah.
big
I was sitting
cameos
in
there
a
that
big
are.
can of farts.
Yeah. But
I
from
knew
what I've
Ryan
read,
Reynolds was going to be in it. I actually read that on the internet a while ago, but I had no clue about Kevin Hart. That one completely threw me through a loop.
but from what I've read so far, after the film has hit theaters, is that future films are going to feature both of those characters, and that they're going to be
Oh, you could
a
tell.
part of your
Yeah.
new Fast
Right.
and Furious family.
just the
so
way he
that's-
was like,
Oh yeah,
give me a call.
yeah,
when you
and
need a
even the
ride,"
after
or-
credit scenes, pretty much fortified that Ryan Reynolds is able to really handle himself as a character.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah, he
he's
smashed him out with
also
a brick.
so I'm hoping that maybe in the next film, which it sounds like there's already going to be, that they will put him in there a little bit more.
Well, and I thought
Did
that
we lose Keith again?
no, he's
Okay,
still there.
okay.
But I thought actually I liked also that they set them two up in two different ways, but also like you all were alluding to, in interesting ways to kind of say, okay, we're going to make these little special scenes and make them goofy and comedic to get you warmed up to them.
Yeah.
But definitely we're playing around that idea that you're going to see more of these guys.
Yeah, they'll
in the
come
future.
together,
Right.
all together.
And that was the
Yeah.
other thing too. Is it kind of shocked me honestly. Again with the plot and how elaborate it was, the whole elusive like not knowing what's behind the machine,
Yeah.
and
loved
then
that.
trying to figure out like because even at the end they kind of tease you with, okay, we know The Rock knows. I keep calling him the Rock, but who
Yeah,
Hobbs.
the guy says he know. I
he
remember
knows,
you, or
right?
Yeah.
I remember you. You may not remember me, or
Yeah.
you've forgotten about me.
right.
And so,
Yeah.
of course, I was very intrigued to
That was
find,
perfect.
yeah,
There's
to think,
so much
what.
speculation online
Right.
about that. About
And they
which
even did a good
previous character
job
it may be.
of mixing in like human voices with electronic
Yeah.
to try to throw you off as to if you started thinking about it as a previous character in the other Fast and Furious movies.
Well, at one point, I thought it sounded like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
So I kind of had it in my head about halfway through the movie
shoot.
that Ryan Reynolds is sitting at home on that laptop in the restaurant, and he's the mastermind behind all of
yeah.
it. But then, I know after credit scenes kind of move you away from that theory, but at one point
still
it kind of
could
sounded
be.
like him, and I was like, that'd be crazy if he was the one pulling all the strings here.
Blew
Right.
my mind
But-
just now.
I don't know.
Which do you think it is, Aaron? Do you think?
No,
it's
I
I
Ryan
don't,
I
I
had
don't think
no
it
idea.
is. I just felt like for a moment, because I think I even like leaned over to, it was either my dad or Keith. One of them was next to me, and I said, "That sounds like Ryan Reynolds. I bet he's going to end up being the bad guy."
See, but I almost think, to me, for them to set it up to be in this bigger world of also in Fast and
yeah.
Furious, I'm looking forward to seeing who it could be
Yeah.
that we've already
Oh,
seen
yeah.
before,
Yeah.
and actually try to figure out, because I'm like, I don't think
It
it's
would be
Vin
interesting if
Diesel.
they-
I don't think it's anything prominent in that sense where
Yeah.
it's like a complete twist. That you're just
Paul
like, no,
Walker.
Paul Walker, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
A digital Paul Walker.
He uploaded his
No,
consciousness.
it
to-
would be interesting if they pulled somebody from another person from Fast and the Furious.
Well, Keith,
in
I know
the-
you had
Yeah.
mentioned it possibly being Michelle Rodriguez, bringing her
I don't
back.
remember ever. She's been in the movie. She has come back. I don't remember ever saying
Well,
that.
or was it her? Or who's the one girlfriend in Fast 5 that ends up with Vin Diesel? Because that's also.
Oh no!
She's
That's
dead.
Oh yes, she
I thought-
died, didn't she?
She got-
Yeah.
she
shot or
died. But I was like,
something.
what if like
See,
So you lose
Brixton
track.
technically
You do,
did all
there's
the
so
movies
many
with that?
threads.
That's one of
Yeah.
the issues when you have a series that goes this long, is you kind of forget bits and pieces of it.
right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Keith. Sorry.
Brixton though technically was shot in the head, and they brought him back. So I was like, what
Yeah.
if they did the same for her?
Ooh.
That's
Oh.
true.
Because that was The Rock's partner.
And that could be, and honestly, how much of a throw off would it be that it's like it didn't sound like a female voice
Right,
at all?
right. But
So
it
that's
was
one
a
that they
voice
could
changer,
just
so-
yeah. But I thought that was one intriguing thing about the film was, again, how much plot there already was. I love the setup at the beginning, showing the difference in Hobbs and Shaw,
Yeah.
setting up their
Yes.
different worlds,
Yes.
but then how they come together.
Here's one problem I did have with
Yeah,
it.
go ahead, yeah.
It was I felt like some of the I was going to say lyrics, this is not a song. Some of the script was very unnecessary. One key point that I was thinking about is when they're fighting and they're working together, and there's this one moment that they have. I hope this is okay to say. I don't spoiler. Sorry, I don't know. But
I thought you were about to drop like
I thought she
an
was gonna
F-bomb
cuss
or
or was like,
something. I
nah,
was
she
like,
can't do
uh-oh,
that.
she's
Good
not gonna do
Lord.
that.
no. But I mean, it plays throughout the whole movie, and I just felt like it was unnecessary to say. But they have this moment where they're like, "Did you see that? When we work together, we can beat him." And I'm like, "What
That was
did
the
you
best
say
cheesy
Statham I've ever
that?
heard.
That was.
That was
You
great.
should have just done it. Like you could have
Well,
even
that's-
had a
that's just
look
part of
where
the-
you looked at each other like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you didn't
Right,
have
not
to
have a
say it
line.
or said
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
Right,
better." It
right.
was just
Yeah.
so cheesy.
They could have
how
finally
they
come
said
to the
it.
realization that as a team we're going to kick this guy's butt, but
Yes.
if we keep fighting, yeah, I agree. There's
Instead,
definitely a
they
better
had
way
a-
to play that than the way they said it.
But that's also a problem. All the Fast and the
they
Furious
all
movies
have
They
cheesy.
all have bad
Yeah, they all
Well,
have
but
cheesy
it's
dialogue.
weird because it's like you have those moments where it's intentional, like with
Yeah.
the Rock's character, and it's like there's obviously moments that are written specifically for him to be over the top.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then there's other times where it's just like they're trying to go with the whole cheesy over the top,
Yeah.
but also be real,
Yeah.
and it comes
Yeah.
off as
That
really
one
bad.
I didn't feel like was on purpose.
Right.
And then the other they're not really problems, but you just come to, I guess, kind of hate but love them as well because they're in all of them, is all the really corny things with the walk. The walk.
So the
The
part of
walk.
the script I was
The Rock. Like his little, he having to be shirtless, like coming out in that
Yes.
little
Oh, yeah.
Hawaiian
Well,
thing.
I thought it was
What
funny that
made
he
me mad is
immediately goes
Jason Statham never takes his freaking shirt off. I'm like, come on, man.
equality, man.
Yeah.
No, I also thought it was weird that it's like he's sitting here completely
Yeah.
shirtless, and literally it's like
Yeah.
when we're going to get the chopper,
Then
now I'm
I
gonna
put
put
my
my
shirt
He
shirt
puts
on.
his shirt
I was
back
like,
on.
why? Why
Yeah,
now?
I thought that
made
was
no
the whole
sense.
point of
It's
the
a
whole
moment
thing of
he
them
needs his
going
shirt.
to Samoa or wherever they went. Like,
Yeah.
that was my gripe about the movie. I'm like, if you want to save the world, why would you bring the bad guys to your mom's house? Like, I mean, why?
Because he
I don't know. I kind
yeah,
of
but again,
enjoyed
then
that.
his
but
family
then,
would
and I
kick
just
their
thought that was
ass.
so.
I
thought that
enjoyed
was
that.
so like juvenile that they went there and they, where mom? Where's my guns? Oh, we got rid of all of them or whatever. And so now they're fighting everybody with clubs and.
But again,
mean,
I
that
don't know.
was
I
I
the
like
movie.
I like
that
the
whole fight
background.
scene was the best.
I
It
know it was
was, it
awesome.
was.
I'm not denying that. I just thought that was completely corny that they did. I'm just like,
But
come
see,
on.
I like
Oh, see, I
again.
didn't.
I
I
agree.
really
It's like the
enjoyed it.
whole going back to the family orient, but I also like that they built that up at the beginning.
I
of
liked
the film.
him and the brother. I liked him and the brother
Right.
having parted ways, and I liked that backstory, and I liked them coming back together. I just thought that whole let's get all the Samoan shirtless guys from Moana together and let's go and let's beat everybody up. Like
What
I
if
just
they
thought that was
would've
so
started
weird.
Singing, no one knows.
Instead of shiny.
That's the only.
To me,
That's the
to me, one
only
of those
thing
moments
that
where
would
you
have made
just
it
check
better
your
for
brain
me.
and said-
Funny.
What?
Oh,
Say
man.
again, Keith.
I was like, for me, that's one of those moments where you just check your brain and say, "Is this ridiculous?" Absolutely, but you know what? It's awesome.
True.
We'll
No,
go
no,
with
no.
it, even though it's stupid.
I agree. It wasn't something that took away from the movie. That to me was the submarine coming up through the ice for me. That was just the silliest, stupidest part of the movie.
I loved
but
it.
I still enjoyed it. I'm not denying that. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, how are they going to compete with guys with guns? And they filled in that gap for me with
Yes.
the code not allowing the guns to work.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's okay. Thank you.
Well,
I'm
and
satisfied
again,
now.
another thing that I liked was that they gave each character that they introduced, Hobbs, Shaw, and even Kirby's character,
Mhm.
they gave them each like their own specialty. And
So
it was
they're
like,
building that team.
right,
Yeah,
they're building
yeah.
that team, but
Yeah.
they're also, it was like,
Actually-
it felt, go ahead, Keith.
I was just saying that's what impresses me most about this script was that Vanessa Kirby was actually a real character. Most of the
Yes.
women in Fast and the Furious are not very well developed.
Just pretty
That's
women
very
to look
true.
at. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
and she was actually really
I agree
awesome.
with that.
Well, even
The
Helen,
woman they go to
Helen
see,
Mirren,
the Russian.
no, I was thinking about
Oh,
their
yes.
mom.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Oh,
Them going
yeah.
to prison and
Oh,
I
yeah.
Well,
love
yeah,
that
here we are
stuff.
talking about cameos.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting here. I did not
No, well, there
expect
was-
Helen
there
Mirren
was-
to
yeah,
pop
there
out
was-
of
I know you haven't
prison.
seen it, but
several
she was
of
in
them.
Fate of the Furious, Brandon.
Oh, see, I haven't seen Fate of the Furious.
Yeah,
haven't
she
seen
she
that
played the
film.
same role in that movie.
Oh,
which is
okay.
fantastic.
I don't think I've seen that one either. Is that the latest one?
Yeah,
that's
the
that's
Fate
the
of
one with the
Furious.
submarine. Yeah,
Oh, well, we saw that in theaters.
Well, then Helen
Yeah.
Mirren was in
I
that.
don't remember that.
she was.
See?
She was in that.
I don't remember it. I'm sure she was good, but I don't remember it.
All I know is that was my first time seeing her, and I was completely blown away because I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting her to
Yeah,
pop
it's
up. And then
Pretty
like
funny.
the whole character of like trying to get the C4 sneaking in, and
Sneaking
I-
in the
I
birthday
just-
cake.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that was funny. It was hilarious.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm right on par with you, Keith, in terms of 3 out of 4. I think we're all kind of in
Yeah.
agreement.
You know, it's kind of funny.
good.
Like, we had the same thing with Solo. Like, Solo, we all loved that movie.
Yeah.
And it didn't do so well at the box office. And it's like,
Right.
how are these movies that so many people, it's got a 90, this movie's got a 90-something% audience score, but it's 69 from critics. So critics aren't digging it. It's not rotten, but they're not digging it as much as I would have thought. Some of the other Furious movies have probably been rated higher. But
I
the
would've
audience score
really
is
thought
great.
This movie would have done
So
good.
it's it's
Yeah.
like the audience loves it, critics are so, and the same thing with Solo. I think audiences loved that, and critics hated it. It didn't do great at the box. This movie's got 79 million
Which
domestic
is, I will agree, it's
on a
not,
$200 million budget.
Yeah, that isn't good.
So it's been
an
out for
opening
2
weekend.
weekends, right? Well, no,
Right.
this is the second weekend coming up.
Yes.
So it looks like over its total run, it might make its money back, but.
Yeah.
We're not talking about it making a huge profit.
And we
So-
we don't know, especially when you throw in marketing and everything else
Oh, yeah,
involved.
yeah.
It's probably not. It's definitely going to be a disappointment for them.
Yeah.
But I still
Yeah.
think there's enough stock in this. They put enough stock in not only the plot, but I think you're still going to have people who are craving and want to
Yeah.
see more of.
Well, I think the
Hobbs and
audience
Shaw.
score kind of says that. People went and saw it. They enjoyed it. They probably didn't like us. They're like thinking, not going into it expecting much, and then they liked it. So now it's like, give me another one.
What, right?
Yeah.
And maybe
Especially-
word of mouth will help.
Yeah, especially those like hidden gems like the Kevin Hart or Ryan Reynolds or whatever, that people didn't
Yeah.
know about it.
Yeah.
But like the word will spread and
Mhm.
then more people go see it.
And you're like, Kevin Hart? What,
Yeah.
what is he doing in this film? What?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, he's
Well,
actually
see,
pretty
and,
good.
and,
It's
and they
funny.
did that really well because he's not just an air marshal. They set it up and let you know that he used to be special forces.
right.
Yeah.
So you know that he's kind of a bumbling idiot on the plane, but he can probably handle himself to be a part of this team.
Right.
And he's going to be the comedic relief, obviously, like Ryan Reynolds was, but still.
Which is funny because I think
he's-
they're all kind of
He's going to have
relief,
something
like,
to
an
offer
degree.
to this team.
Yeah.
So I can't wait.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
good. All right. 3.5 or no,
Go
3.
see it, y'all.
Go
3
see it,
out
go
of 4
see it.
stars. Not trying to give it too much credit. Keith, are you sticking around to join us for any more?
I sadly cannot.
Okay.
But,
Aw.
I got to
Unfortunate.
clean up and go. But I am glad I got to be a part of the conversation for Hobbs and Shaw. I am saddened it's not doing well. I really thought it would, but
Same here. Same here.
alas.
And hopefully, we don't know. Word of mouth, maybe. Maybe we'll see something. It'll change for future weeks to come.
Red Moon approved.
That's right.
Mm.
We give it our stamp of approval. All right, Keith.
For what
We're gonna
that's
let
worth.
you go, and we're gonna move on to some headline speak. All right, buddy.
All right.
We'll see you next
y'all
week.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Absolutely.
Keith.
All right, guys. Let's move on.
Moving
Are y'all ready to
on.
move on to our
Hold on,
headlines?
Can I tell you really quick, like really super fast?
I
Oh.
guess.
So I've never been to the movies by myself.
Oh yes,
It's
I
gonna be
forgot.
really
Yeah.
super fast. I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I did that for this movie because it just worked out that way. Nobody could go, so I was like, whatever. I'm going to see it by myself. And it really wasn't that bad, but I thought it was hilarious because there was this old man that was there, and he was like 5 seats
There
down
always
from me.
is. Yeah.
And he talked like this. And he was like kind of loud. And he was like, it was during the previews that he was most funny. And he was like, there was a preview for another It movie.
Yeah.
that
Oh,
was
it
coming
chapter
out.
2. Yeah.
And he was like, chapter 2. I didn't even see chapter 1. And then he's like, so this is what XD is. This is XD because
Oh my!
it was the XD
But is he
theater.
like seeing this by himself too?
No, some
He was
lady
with
was with him,
somebody,
but you
okay.
couldn't hear anything she was saying.
Well, yeah.
So
With a
it-
voice like that, she probably just stays quiet.
It
No,
was
she's probably
really
like,
Probably got her
Rodney,
headphones in.
Rodney, stop! Stop! You're annoying everybody.
Maybe it was the guy from Ghostbusters that was like,
yeah. No, actually, it is funny that you mentioned that being your first time seeing a movie alone because we've had it on topic on the show before.
yeah.
Yep.
And I have never done it. And the most recent movie I saw was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I had to see it alone in
Mhm.
theaters. So it was actually not that bad. I was actually kind of surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And it was kind of the same thing, like the spectacle of other people around me
Yeah.
and their opinions. Because I had the same exact thing where he wasn't as annoying, but like because of Once Upon a Time of Hollywood's like set in the 70s, and it was this old couple sitting on the end of the row, and they're sitting there talking, and it was just him. She was just kind of listening, and he was like, I remember that show. He's like, that was good.
That was a good one.
He's like, that was back when TV was real good.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I
Right.
kept hearing him throughout, and then I had to get up and go to the bathroom. And so I got up at one point, and I was going to run to the bathroom, and I get to the end of the aisle, and like the old man's asleep. And like his wife's still sitting there watching the movie, completely entertained.
That was a
And I'm
3-hour
like,
movie, so.
She like moves her legs, and then I look at him, and he's just completely like,
Oh, he's out.
oh, he's out. He was completely out. And so I'm like, I had to step over his legs just to get out of the aisle. And then when I come back, of course, he's wide awake. And it was the scene where again, no spoilers.
Well, that's been a while.
It's been a while.
Right.
But it's a scene where it's like Leo's obviously acting.
Yeah.
And it's a part where he messes up and like, but the scene continues as if it's being shot.
Mhm.
And he's sitting there and he just started cracking up at Leo messing up.
Yeah.
He's like, this is great.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know.
It
It
was
just,
a good scene.
yeah. And it was just funny to see that reaction,
Yeah.
something else to enjoy. Like, and it wasn't that odd. I don't know. I guess I've always feared going alone,
Yeah.
thinking that I would be the only person in the theater. And I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
But it was fresh enough of a movie that
See,
it
this
was
should
like,
have been our story time segment. or
I
something.
know. I'm now
Sorry.
dragging
No,
it
I
on
wasn't,
more than Aaron.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to. I just thought it was hilarious.
But
I
it
had to
was
tell y'all
interesting.
It's a
about
different
him.
Yeah.
experience. Yeah,
It is
for sure.
It's definitely.
Everybody
it's
should do
different,
it at
so.
least once.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think.
yeah.
I agree. I'm a fan now.
Everybody should sneak their
I'm
own
a fan.
snacks in too. Story for another
Sneak
time.
your own snacks in.
Sneak your own. Sneak 'em.
That
Right.
actually is a good. We'll have to do that.
We'll do that.
We
What's
gotta
our
remember
What's
that.
our headline this week?
All right, our first headline, and this is gonna
Number one.
This really should probably upset a lot of people. I think.
I'm so upset.
Get mad. Get mad.
I'm
because
not gonna press that button.
Deadpool. Oh,
No,
Mhm.
I'm not doing it.
you're not doing it.
No, not that.
They're
one.
all there. Either one of you can push
Anyway,
it.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Continue.
You're
Go
all
ahead.
gonna wait. Okay.
Nah, I'm not touching that thing.
Deadpool, as successful as it has been, at being rated R
Mm-hmm.
with all of its antics and its jokes and its dirty, screenplay and violence and gore is possibly going to be rated PG-13.
It's already been done.
What?
Remember, they released the Christmas version, which was PG-13, and it was a box
flop.
office flop.
Yes.
It was the same movie. They took out a bunch of the stuff that made it rated R and made a PG-13 version, and
unfortunately,
it wasn't
even
well
like
received.
sticking what was it, Kevin from the Wonder Years,
Yeah.
Fred Savage in there, it still
Yeah.
didn't work,
Still
and that was
didn't work.
hilarious.
Yep.
But it's like, so PG-13 Deadpool. We kind of brought this up back when the talks began
Mhm.
of Disney buying out. The property. I forget who owns Deadpool, and 20th Century Fox. And we were kind of speaking about the fact that would they really cut back on the rated R content, and or would they because it's been such a success, would they just leave it alone and let it be?
Yeah.
And we all ruled that yes, there was no doubt they were going to leave it alone, let it be, which would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're having talks to make it PG-13. Do we think that would damage the overall movie?
Yes.
For what it is?
Yes.
Simple
you
as
seen-
that.
have you seen Deadpool?
Disagree.
Have you
Oh.
seen Deadpool? Huh?
I've seen one of them.
Okay.
Which one?
Not
Number
seen both.
two?
The second one.
Okay.
And I just personally, all the cursing was way too much for me. Like it was just overload. Like.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to expect
That's-
going in. I
that's
didn't
him,
know
though.
anything about
Exactly.
his
That's-
character or
yeah.
anything. So for me, it was like, whoa.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a heck of a superhero
No, I can
here.
understand. He's not a superhero.
But-
He's an anti-hero.
Right.
Well,
But yeah.
whatever. But I feel like I just kept thinking it was unnecessary and that it could be the same funny, but that I think it can depend on your sense of humor. Like some people need to have that. Like they think that's what.
Yeah.
Well,
makes it
to me, I
funny.
think it just goes back to, I mean, because we talk about it all the time on here with movie length and sequels. There was a recent discussion we talked about, and how it's like, what does the story demand, or what does the story itself center around? And it's like Deadpool in and of itself is it is that anti-hero. It's here's all these other Marvel characters, here's all these other DC characters. They're all, clean cut and very,
Right.
Truth,
truth
justice,
just in the American
the
way
American way.
with Spider-Man or Superman. And it's like,
Superman,
and
but-
it's just so like, when you have all of these different superheroes that already have that certain image, and it's supposed to be like that kind of cutthroat, we're coming in here guns a-blazing, and we're going to be completely opposite of everything else out there on the spectrum. And to me, that's what Deadpool is, and that's what made it like an anomaly in the midst of all this other, what you were already used to. And that's also what made it such a huge success. I mean, that was why Ryan Reynolds went through the trouble of kind of leaking some footage that wasn't supposed to be seen when he started the character, because he played Deadpool. He was such a fan. He played it in X-Men Wolverine. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And it was
He doesn't like to admit to that. But
no.
Yeah.
and the thing is so many
'Cause it was
people
terrible.
like it was a bore. It was awful,
yeah.
and so many people wrote it off and were like, "This is not Deadpool. This is not the Deadpool we know." And so, which is funny because in Deadpool 2, I'm not sure if you remember at the end of the spoiler alert. He goes back and shoots himself for reading that script and saying, "Yeah, I want to play this." But the thing is like, for Ryan Reynolds to have loved that character so much and know what it stood for, and the studios kind of being adamant about, no, we can't have a movie like this. And then for him to release a little bit of test footage out to the fans and for
see the
them
reaction.
to
Yeah.
clamor and come to arms and be like, no, this is what we want to see. That's what greenlit it.
Yeah.
So for them to kind of, I mean, the studios then knew they had gold to appeal to the fan base and say, all right, we know what you want with Deadpool. Here it is. So for me, that's the problem with it being PG-13 is it's like
See,
taking a back seat.
I think they can incorporate the two. I think they can still make the standalone Deadpool movies rated R. And because one of the things Deadpool does is he breaks that barrier where he makes fun of stuff that's going on in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's what's fun about it. So I mean, I can actually see him in his next, rated R film talking about the X-Men movie that he was in and just be like, yeah, I had to keep it PG-13 for the kids.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
say, F that. I'm not doing that in this film. And
Exactly.
he breaks that wall and plays right into it
Right.
because he does that with some of the X-Men when he's in the mansion, and he talks about people in the other room and kind of breaks the wall and makes fun of the X-Men movies.
Right.
And I enjoy that. That's who he is as
Right.
as a character. So I can see them putting him in some X-Men films to be a part of the team. But even in those films, he could just say, hey, I can't be myself or whatever,
yeah,
because
exactly.
the producers want it PG-13,
Right.
and then just go with it
Mhm.
and be the most of himself that he can be, but then leave his standalone films rated R. That's
Right.
the key to his success, or the key to that film's success is the rated R.
Right.
Now, I would agree that at times they do. Not in the Deadpool movie, I don't feel like was any of it unnecessary, because I've read a couple of the comics, and I think the movie pulled punches that the comics don't pull. But the Wolverine movie, Logan, that had rated
Yes.
R. Like there was a lot of unnecessary language and unnecessary stuff in that movie, just to make it. It was like, just because this is rated R, now we can make Logan
I
this
was
kind
gonna
of
say,
guy.
and it seemed uncharacteristic.
Yeah,
of
because
that series,
for
because
4 or 5 movies,
Yeah.
we've seen Wolverine in a PG-13 movie
setting, exactly.
Yeah, and it was fine. It was okay. But in Logan, they went full blast.
And that was the
riding
other
the
weird thing
success
is,
of Deadpool.
some people were even clamoring in that movie, like, okay, we're ready to see a rated R Logan, to
Yeah,
see
I
Wolverine
want to see
kinda
Wolverine
be,
do what he can do.
right.
But some of the
Was over
some
the
of
top.
the language and stuff just didn't even fit. It's like, if you're going to use the F word, use it like Tarantino uses it. Use it like in a sentence where it actually makes. I mean, you would argue it never would make sense, but it for certain moments it's okay.
Right.
But there was so many F-bombs dropped in that movie at
Well,
times
again-
that was just unnatural. Like, it's not
Yes.
even what normal.
Well,
not
when
normal people,
Professor
but-
X,
No,
is
I
I mean,
know
saying
what
when
you're
the same-
saying.
Professor X says
Right,
it
right.
4 or 5 times in one sentence, I was just like, what?
yeah, that's not
Like,
him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just not his character.
Right.
And
it was like they were just pushing it
They were
because
doing
it
it
was
just
rated
because
R.
they had the rating.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, I feel like Deadpool needs the rating to be
Yes.
what it is supposed to be. So I think they can do both, and I'd like to see them do both, and I'd like to see him make fun of it in a major way. And I think that would make fans happy.
Right.
That they're
Yeah.
getting an X-Men movie that's good with one of their favorite characters, an anti-hero that comes in to help save the day,
Yep.
but really doesn't want to be there saving the day, and plays that part as well as Ryan Reynolds does. And then they can go see his standalone film and get the Deadpool they want.
Right.
I don't see a problem with that.
Well, and
and
I
I
think
think
that
Disney, if they're
was-
smart, that's what they'll do.
That was what was interesting about when we first talked about them not doing a rated PG-13 Deadpool.
Yeah.
We thought, no, they'll keep Deadpool rated R, as they should, because
Yeah.
that is its bread and butter to the success it's had. But also, when it comes to the other MCU films, and when they start to introduce him into those, we thought it would be tongue in cheek for him to mention, like, oh, I've got to keep it toned down. But then that was also
Would it even
going.
be funny if he was like going through therapy or something? Like, you know what I'm saying?
No, you
Oh,
thought
I mean,
about
yeah,
this.
they could. That's
that
a
would
very
be
good
funny.
idea.
It would be
I mean, yeah,
hilarious.
if he's
I
going through
think
some
it
kind
could
of anger
work. It
management
just
or something.
depends-
Yeah,
it
that'd be
depends
great.
on the angle that they. I could see it
Right.
flopping, but I think it could work.
But I
is what
think,
I'm saying.
but I actually think that it would work in the sense that if it were a part of another MCU movie, like if he were to pop up in a Captain Marvel or another, Black Panther 2, somewhere
Yeah.
where you don't see him, and it is like he
Black
pops.
Panther too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, see right there alone. It's just like the thought of it is
Yeah.
funny, and so
Yeah.
he pops up, and then he can't
Oh.
be himself,
Yeah.
and that's the humor of it. And
Yeah.
it's like, in that sense, I would love to see a PG-13 Deadpool, but if it's a movie specifically about him,
Yeah.
I don't want it to take away from his story and also what makes him unique. And it's like you were saying, it's like when you go to see a Tarantino film, you're expecting a certain kind of,
Dialogue. Yeah.
grandiose, like out completely, I don't know, just ridiculous type of language back and forth, and like the F-bomb being thrown around, and it's like you almost come to expect it in the sense that it is that over the top.
Yeah.
That if it wasn't, then I mean, I even mentioned about the violence in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And again, spoiler alert, but the scene at the end to me was not reminiscent of his other films.
No.
like
It
Inglourious
was mild.
Bastards,
It
or
was mild.
it was very mild,
compared
and
to-
to
even the
me-
language was mild
Right.
compared to other
And so-
films. But I didn't think that took away from the film.
No, it just kind of
but
disappointed
it was
me a
different
little
than
bit.
his normal style.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't seem as Tarantino-esque.
But again, I don't feel like even in those scenes, as far as language goes and some of the dialogue and stuff, I don't feel like it was necessary. Those characters said the words when it hit home and when it showed their frustration. But then the rest of the time, it was. I mean, people don't just walk around saying F the FFF. They don't do that.
Right.
And like it's not. And not everybody walks around speaking like they do in Pulp Fiction.
Well,
and
and I was
especially
gonna
in
say, there's a
1969
difference
Hollywood.
between Pulp Fiction, where you have it's like
gangsters and stuff.
gangsters
Yeah.
talking back and forth,
Yeah.
and you're establishing that precedent versus literally two actors on a movie set.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, yes, absolutely, the tone is different, and I do think both of those movies set the tone. That's why I'm like, yeah, I'm not arguing for more language in that sense in the Tarantino film. I thought it was
I just
well
wanted
scripted.
to keep it true to the character.
Right.
And part of the character is, like you said, popping up in and out of different other characters, settings. And like Deadpool pops up in Wolverine's comics and stuff sometimes, and the Hulk, and I mean different things like that. And I think if they keep it like that, then they can make him a little bit more mild for some of the other films. I mean, to be honest with you, the PG-13 movies that Marvel's been making still feature some language that I can't even let I want my son to watch the Avengers and stuff so bad, but I'm not going to let him watch it just because of the 4 or 5. In fact, Endgame was the worst. Endgame featured more language in it than I think any other Marvel movie except Deadpool has had, and it's like I can't even let him watch that.
Right.
And so I think
Till he's of age.
Till he's of age, but
He'll
the
get there.
PG-13 movies are starting to kind of push some of those boundaries too.
Well, heck, even Hobbs and
And-
Shaw. I mean,
Yep.
there was a little bit in that I
Yeah.
was like, I honestly did think it was rated R, and I thought that was maybe why it didn't fare too well when I saw the box office. But then I was doing the
No,
review and
yeah,
I saw that it said PG-13.
But they push it to the
Um,
max that they can.
Right.
So
and that's always been honestly that's always been the case.
Yeah.
Is what more can they get away
Yeah,
with in
yeah.
a lower rating?
But then again, at times it's perfect when Captain America says, "Let's go get this son of a bitch."
yes,
That is one of the greatest lines in the movie.
Yep.
Because that Captain America has never cussed. He has never
it's a build.
given. This is finally it's gotten real.
Yep.
And to the point where Captain America is like, "Let's go get this SOB." And that right there, the Golden Boy cussing makes that
It tells you it's
that
like
sets the standard for the beginning of that film. Like
Right.
it just this is where we're going.
Yep.
And that's what I loved about it. So sometimes the language can be necessary to set the tone of the scene. And
agreed.
I don't have a problem with that. So I hope they just stick with Deadpool and leave him be.
I agree, guys. I think
Aaron,
yeah. Do
any
you
other
have
comments?
any more
Sorry,
comments?
we kind of rolled through that.
No, I said what I had to say.
She said what she had to say.
Next. Thank you. Next.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I knew it was.
Do we
coming.
have time
I
to,
missed.
to dive into the Disney Plus thing?
Yeah,
real quick?
Really fast.
Go dive into it.
Say it really fast.
Dive.
Dive.
Like,
Go ahead, Sean. What
who
are your
wants Disney
thoughts?
Plus? Raise your hand.
Sort of.
your
Like
hand.
I'm on the verge.
What is
like,
Disney Plus?
Disney
oh
Plus.
my gosh, do you not know, Aaron?
Oh.
Tell me really fast.
It's gonna have over 300 Disney
No.
movies and 7,000 TV
3,000 movies. And
No, it was 300.
it's 3,000 different movies
In your
owned by Disney.
face,
Not
Brandon.
Disney movies, but owned
Are
Disney
you serious?
property.
I thought it was
Zero.
300.
3,000 movies, 7,000 shows.
Yeah, now you want it.
Wow. Yeah. Give me that Disney Plus.
Plus, so Disney Plus is something that's going to come out. It's Disney streaming service. It's supposed to be like $5.99, $6.99, something like that. It's pretty cheap for what you're getting because Disney owns everybody now.
Yeah,
And if you
true.
want to watch it, you're going to have Disney Plus pretty much. Star Wars, Marvel, anything 21st Century Fox owned.
So they're really
Everything.
like
I mean, every TV
after
show out
Netflix.
there, they own.
Yes,
they
they
own
are.
networks. They own ESPN.
Well, and that
and Hulu.
actually has to do
So
with the bundle.
They're going to
That
bundle
they,
it.
So the actual price of
Bundle it
just
up
the service is
like a
$7.99.
baby.
But now with the bundle of ESPN Plus and
Hulu. Yeah.
with ad-supported Hulu,
yeah.
you now will pay $12.99, which is
is
about
cheaper.
the equivalent of Netflix.
yeah.
or
no,
the
Netflix
cheaper
is
than
like
Netflix.
14 or something.
oh, is it the? I thought that was the lowest tier, isn't it? It's
I-
$12.99.
I pay 14 for 4K. And
Oh,
I don't know. I just know
streams.
Josh told me they like keep upping our.
yeah,
Yes.
it went up to
Same.
like 14 or 15.99.
Yeah.
so it's still
So-
cheaper than Netflix.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're getting 3 services.
Yeah.
So if you're a sports fan, or even if you're just like, again, they already have
Yeah.
7,000 TV episodes, but now you got Hulu
Hulu.
thrown in there,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Hulu.
I think that's with all of that combined, it makes up those numbers. Because you're going to get, like, ESPN, you're going to get their 30 for 30, which is a really popular show.
That's true.
You're going to get hockey, baseball, tennis championships,
Well,
like all of that
Truth
stuff
be told,
streaming.
even Hulu's just
So-
being able to see new episodes
Yes.
the next day.
Ooh.
And a lot of people, like you, I think, Sean, you just mentioned that.
Hey, Jake's watching.
Jake, we want to give a shout out to Jake and
Jake.
tell him why. Aaron, you told us just before the show.
He said he watch or listens to all of them. I
He's
don't
a-
think he
Oh,
watches
wow.
all of them live, but he listens to all.
He's
the
a big
episodes.
fan of ours.
Yeah,
Wow.
because
Is what
you
you're
agree
saying.
with everything that he.
All right, hey, that's fine,
that
that's
he
great.
says.
Jake Boyd, brother of
My
your.
brother's in the house.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Jake. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening every week. Thanks for the support, Jake.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah.
He said,
Okay.
"Hey."
But yeah, so I will say I think Disney
So Disney Plus,
Yeah.
is a very
the bundle.
Yeah.
Got to be the bundle.
only the bundle.
Dang. So you're saying no, you're just going for the
You
bundle.
want the
going for the
bundle or
bundle.
nothing at
Well,
all.
we signed up for Hulu, got the free month, you
Right,
know?
yeah.
And my wife's got hooked on that because she can watch 90210 and One Tree Hill and all those stupid girl shows. She can watch, like,
It's a
binge
little
all that
rude.
stuff. So, yeah, like 90s and early 2000s.
Dawson's Creek.
Girl,
I
oh, I
honestly,
guarantee you
want
she
that.
will
To,
be
I want
watching
that to be back
I
on
guarantee you.
Oh,
Now she's
man.
getting ready to
Not
start
gonna
watching ER, and I'm like,
Netflix.
like seriously. So yeah, she's gonna watch all that stuff. So she wants to keep it, and I'm like, well, I'm getting Disney Plus when that comes out, and when this bundle was announced, it became we
Way
gotta have
cheaper.
ESPN. I mean, you can't college sports.
That
you
might
gotta,
even kind of come after PlayStation View. PlayStation
In view. Yeah. Do you
'Cause
all
that has-
subscribe to that?
Well, we have that instead of cable.
Yeah.
Because
A lot
Yeah.
of people do. Yeah.
we're not really TV watchers. The
Yeah.
TV shows we do watch are on Netflix, so we have Netflix and PlayStation
Yeah,
View, and
yeah.
the sports are on PlayStation
see, Hulu's
View.
got
Mm.
live TV too for a little bit more. It's like $11.99 a month for no ads and live TV. So that might be something to consider.
Dang.
Boom. Dropping
Boom.
bombs on you. But
Alright.
yeah, no, I'm gladly going to pay $12.99 for the bundle because that's all of my kids' movies,
Yep.
all of the new Marvel movies.
I mean, that's
the
half the
Star
battle
Wars,
right there.
the
It really is the-
Mandalorian.
yep.
Like, I've got to have that. I got to watch it, and I'd rather pay them $12.99 to have
Yep.
all of that content than try to bootleg it somehow. Plus,
That's what
I
we
mean,
do best.
you really think about it, 25%.
Who is this we?
25% of Netflix's content is going to go to Disney Plus because they're pulling all their stuff off there in the next year.
Right.
That's
So they've got
crazy.
like 100 and something more days to pull all that content
Well,
off. of there.
Aaron, it's like you said.
So-
I mean, it's like Disney is gunning for
They're going
Yeah.
king.
after them.
They're trying.
Yep.
They're trying
Yeah.
to be king of like all streaming, and they
King.
definitely,
I think they want to be king of the world.
no doubt.
That's the wrong movie.
Yep.
That's
Let's say,
Titanic.
We don't bring that up on
What?
this show.
I'm the king of the world.
Oh, sorry.
Guys, are we ready to move on to our unique
Let's
weekly
move on.
segment?
You should have said it just feels great to be king or whatever. How's it go?
Oh, I just can't wait
Yeah,
to
like that.
be king.
Yeah,
Yeah.
much better.
That's what Disney's saying right now as their investors are.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
Here is our Vices segment.
Sound like took a big, good old drink or something.
I thought you was gonna say like a dump. or
That's
something.
what I
was like,
thought
a
too.
big
I
good
was
old
like,
dump.
what?
Who do
I'm like,
you know
yeah.
that takes a
Like-
dump and goes?
Everybody,
does. I was
I
like,
heard you in there a minute ago.
before we came on the show.
First off, I only went number one, and
Mhm.
let's talk about our vices.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's get off this subject.
Mm.
All right. Our vice topic for this week, of course, we already teased it at the beginning of the show, but it is, do you prioritize sleep?
Nope.
Looks like, oh, hold on.
What happened?
Aaron's
she fell
out. She's
asleep.
out. She's out.
5-hour energy just ran out.
It's gone. She
I'm gonna
crashed.
crash tonight for sure.
But that's the thing. Like this just kind of came up this week because it's like I don't know. I mean, obviously since my high school and college days, I feel like I've been running on empty, and yet I do. It's like been one long day.
Like, that was really
Jeez.
dramatic.
It was.
It
Since
was-
high school, I've been running on
It's just
empty
been one long day.
for 11 years.
Hey, I did get to the point where 5-hour power shots did nothing
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Like I drank probably a string of 4 days where I drank one a day.
Yeah.
That's really
And by
bad
the end of
for
the
you.
week, yeah, it was bad. And I was 19, so I could take it. My
No.
heart could take it.
It
Mm.
couldn't.
But now it's
Putting
catching
holes
up
in your
to
heart.
me.
Yep.
That's right. That
Yeah.
aspartame, you know,
Mhm.
it does it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as I've gotten older and it starts to wane, it's like I realized that when I was younger, I could probably go like 3-4 days literally on like 2-3 hours of sleep.
Oh yeah.
And I would be fine.
Yeah.
But then I've started to notice is like I'm approaching 30. And as I get closer, I can only maybe go at best 2 days.
Hmm.
And it's like if I go 2 days on like 3 to 4 hours of sleep, and then I'm crashing.
I feel like
dead.
that's great. 2 days on 3 to 4 hours sleep. Because
Yeah.
You don't get that much
Me?
sleep?
I'm just like, no. I'm not saying that is a great amount of sleep. I feel like that's a
Oh.
great amount of time for him to go on
Oh,
that little
she's
of
impressed.
sleep. Yeah.
Okay. I get about 5 hours of sleep every night.
That's
about
it?
Yeah, that's about it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I can't sleep much more than that.
That's not good.
That's
Yeah.
not. I can't function
I
if I
feel
don't get
fine.
at least like 7 or 8.
You need
like,
essential oils.
A what?
oh no, you're one of.
Essential
Are you one
oils?
of those?
I'm an oiler.
Oh no.
We don't have to talk about that though.
Well, if it
Well,
helps
I'm-
you go
if
to
I wanted
sleep,
to sleep,
I
where
mean,
would I
yeah.
stick the oil? It's like stick it on your nose or on my forehead or the bottom of my feet or what?
There's different places that you can put under your feet. Is good, like on the bottom of your feet.
Hmm.
Certain oils are meant for. I mean, you know,
Which one's meant for sleeping?
there's all kinds. Lavender's really good for sleep,
Okay.
but
Do you
need
put
like
that like under your nose?
you need like pure lavender
Oh.
though, like grade A, not like
Like black market
crap from
lavender.
Walmart. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Do you
I
sell
should have
these?
said that probably, huh?
What? Why?
I
We-
don't
they're-
know. I feel like I'll get in trouble or something.
No.
Walmart's gonna sue us
So-
now.
They're
they're
gonna
not.
hate me. I shop
Yeah.
at Walmart all the time. I really
Nobody
do.
cares.
I
Yeah, I don't think anybody cares.
But so okay, so
Okay,
you're
essential oils, okay.
you use oils to
I
get to
do.
sleep, but do you have a certain amount of time that like you have to have to sleep? Like, do
To
you have a certain amount of hours that you got to be asleep to actually feel refreshed, or you can't function?
Honestly, I probably need like 10 hours to function.
10
really well.
hours. Oh
Yeah.
my god, that's more than just
No,
like most
I
recommend.
may
Yeah.
not. The thing is, I never have a good night's sleep
Right,
consistently.
right.
So I don't know what hour. Josh is always getting after me, like, you know.
You're
ever
always
since
up?
we've been married.
Go to
Even
sleep.
before then, he's like, "Why are you up?" Because he works third shift.
Right.
So I always get caught because you know. It's like, I'll be on
Sneaking around.
Facebook and then I can't help it, and I'll be sending him these funny videos or whatever, and then
You'll
I
be like,
get
"You
myself
need to go to
away.
bed."
Yeah, he'll call
Jeez.
me immediately. Why are you up? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was watching Hip Hop Squares and I couldn't help it. I was. That's what I was doing last night.
I like staying up. That's like recently. I've probably been going to bed at like 2 a.m.
That's what time I
And
went to
then-
bed last night.
and then
See, and that's
get up at, like,
my
7.
thing. It's like I end up getting stuck in these ruts of like a certain time that I stay up till,
Mhm.
and it is about 2-3 a.m. And I mean, it's partly because of my work schedule, and it's like I work later in the morning and then early evening, and it's like 10:30 to 6:30 is my schedule. So I feel like I can get away with like
Yeah.
staying up later, and even though it's like, yeah, I'm only probably still getting 5-6 hours of sleep. It still is like, oh, I'm getting up at 9. I got plenty of time. That's like,
Mhm.
that's not a. But then by the end of the week, if I'm doing that every single night, it does catch up with me.
Yeah.
And even though I know they say it's a myth and it's not been proven that you can't catch up on sleep, I do feel like as long as I get one night a week where I can sleep in and it is like a good 10 hours sleep,
Mhm.
then I'm refreshed and I'm good to go. And I can probably pull it again for like another week where I'm like doing 5-6 hours a night. I probably can't, like, I still have to, on average,
Mhm.
get 6 or 7 at least.
Okay.
I can't pull the 5. Like, that's crazy to me, Sean.
No, I mean I drink coffee all day, and
I drink coffee every morning.
so I
Same
just
here.
don't. It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't affect me much.
No, it's more of just a comfort for me. I don't know that it really wakes me up.
It's
I
a
think
luxury?
it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
coffee
I
or
need
sleep?
my coffee in the
Oh, yeah.
No, no. I get to the point
Sleep
in a
is
day
more
where
of a
it's kind of
mental
like a
thing.
cup of coffee lifts me up a little bit, but I've never on 5 hours of sleep. Like that's a good night for me. Like, I mean,
Really?
yeah. On the weekends we'll sleep a little bit longer, but for hours during the night I'll just lay awake and stare at nothing.
I think it's.
So-
I think
That's
part of
crazy.
the
I just have
problem
I worry a
is-
lot about everything.
I
so
think part of the problem is technology, though. Like one of my big
True.
problems is being on my phone.
Yep.
That, and they say like those screens and everything, they
Well, that's why you have the night shift thing.
make you
on the
hard.
like you.
What?
Whoa! Make
Aaron.
you hard.
God.
Jesus. They make it hard to fall asleep.
There it is. She corrected herself.
Everybody, okay?
Jeez.
Deadpool them.
Deadpool
Deadpool
I need some
PG-13
oils over
me.
here. This is getting crazy.
Talking about
Jeez
oils and getting
Louise.
hard. I
Stop
don't know.
it. Stop it, both
You
of you.
started
All right,
it.
I'm done.
I
But,
did
Alright.
not.
but I
Well,
do
you say
think.
stuff like that around us. You know how our mind works.
Well, it was on accident.
Okay.
But I will say, it's like I agree. I think for one, they have like the night shift mode. I don't ever turn it on. Where
I
it's
don't
supposed to be
like the. I don't like
I
the colors.
Exactly.
I
It's like
always turn my
changes-
brightness.
Yes.
Turn the brightness
It,
all
like,
the way up.
Yellow tints the screen, and I'm like, this is annoying.
Yeah.
And then the blue ambient light keeps me up. Or I'll do worse. I'll be, this is too bad, and I'll turn on the TV to just have something on in the background,
Yeah.
and I'll
Oh, I
start
can't
dozing
sleep
off.
with anything. I can't
I
sleep
can't
with a
do
light.
that.
If there's a night light in our bathroom, and I'm like, I always try to shut the door at night, so
Yeah.
Yep.
that you can only see that light when you actually go in there, but you fall on your way getting there because you can't see.
Yeah.
Like I don't. Well, at first I don't get up in the middle of the night. I don't think I've ever gotten up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night,
Really?
Lucky.
unless I'm sick.
I can.
Like,
yeah,
I can't
have
do that.
to.
Lucky.
But I guess anybody can go 5 hours without peeing, right?
Oh, you're
Yeah.
only sleeping 5
So I'm only sleeping. But
That's true. That's true.
but still, like I can't have a light, nothing. It's got to be pitch black.
No,
for me
no,
to
I do
really
agree
fall
with that. Like
asleep
to me, it's still even if I have a TV on, I'll start to doze off, but I will wake up
and turn it off.
and turn it off.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm in the same way. I have
Yep.
to have pitch
But see,
black.
my wife can fall
Yep.
asleep with bombs going off in the background. Like
Yeah,
if there's
no.
an apocalypse, she could sleep through that.
Now
I'm
I
pretty
will.
sure.
I'm a heavy sleeper, but if it's a loud enough noise, I will wake up.
Yeah.
Like, but I still need
What does that even mean?
I don't know, like a
I'm a
train
heavy
horn.
sleeper, but if it's a really loud noise, I will wake up.
All right,
It's
that
gotta
didn't sound
be
bad.
pretty loud.
I need a,
Okay,
give
so
me an
like
example.
for instance, like if you do have like if you live by train tracks, like trains can
You
be
get
loud,
used to it,
but
though.
you get used
get
to it.
used to
So
it.
certain ambient noises, it's like trucks and cars drive by because I'm
Yeah.
on a corner house of a lot,
Yeah.
and it's like I get used to cars driving by all the time
Yeah.
at night, but it's
So,
not loud
It's
enough.
like when the cars don't drive by, you wake up and you're
Then
like,
and I'm like, something's not right.
Something's
Everybody's
not right.
dead. It's like, yeah. So yeah, it is
Yeah.
kind of odd, but
you get freaked out when you don't hear the trains.
right.
Like we used to live right over off of Deering, where you could.
Or for
The
instance,
train
like
was
when
there.
I lived downtown, and it was like I lived right by the airport, and so every night, literally, you could time it by
Yeah.
every 10 minutes would be a UPS plane
yeah.
flying over, and so I would get used to hearing those planes fly over. And now, if I'm somewhere like I don't know when I'm falling asleep downtown somewhere,
Yeah, if I'm on a park bench falling asleep. Be careful, Ty will push you in the river.
Yeah, actually, no. I am glad you said that because it was Boston.
You're good.
No, it was.
Yes, he is. He agreed.
No, it
said
was
it.
Boston,
Okay.
and that horrible experience with Deborah, which we won't go back into.
Oh my god.
But
that was the best.
was that experience of sleeping with the window open and hearing those planes
Mhm.
that brought me back. But my body like was not used to it anymore. So
Yeah.
every time I heard
Plus,
a plane
you
flying
were, like,
over,
suffering from.
I was
heat
about
stroke.
heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I can't sleep if it's excessively hot.
No, yeah.
Or even excessively cold. Like it's got to be a right temperature.
So you're kind of a bougie sleeper.
Yeah, if I want a really good night's sleep, yeah.
Mm.
And I mean, and that's the thing. Like I'll need it every once in a while, but I probably like the question: do I prioritize it? No.
Yeah.
Like
Do you
I
have
need
one of the like eye covers that you put over?
no, but I
your
will.
eyes
I
when you
will
sleep?
put I'll put a full on pillow over my face.
What
Oh,
the
that's not
heck?
safe.
Yeah. No. I'll leave it to where it's like.
Oh, okay.
Don't let
It's-
me wake up
You're
in
like,
the
I'm going
morning.
to sleep.
I'm suffocating.
I'm going to sleep forever.
Oh, that's so emo.
I'm gonna sleep forever. I want to take a permanent nap.
Oh,
But no, like I'll position it to where it's like right over my eyes, but not over my nose.
Yeah.
So I will.
everybody hates me at work. I'm just gonna sleep forever. Oh, we're making fun of people that really have problems.
Yeah, we are. That's true.
It's like,
It's
like-
oh.
Sometimes I just really need that good night's sleep. You
Yeah.
know. But no.
like the sleep of the dead. God.
So no, I do not prioritize it
Made
like
me
I
cry.
should, and I just can't. I can't. I'm sorry. My life is so hectic and crazy, and schedules changing all the time. I'm just like I'm coming and going, and I'm constantly busy that I just don't get on a regular sleep schedule, and I
Yeah.
probably should. You know, I should be consistent, but I'm not.
Okay.
Well, let's do it, guys. Let's sleep better.
Okay.
Well, let me get my essential oils,
Yeah.
and I'll be right. And I just that pillow over
I'll
my
put
face.
it on your feet, Brandon, if you put it on
Oh
mine.
my
Absolutely,
gosh.
I'll put it on your back.
Some lavender on my back.
Oh yeah.
Lather up that lavender.
All right, you all answer the question,
As
and
if
we're
I-
wrapping
if
up.
I rubbed oil on my chest, it would just turn into foam because all this hair just lather up like soap.
Just like jump in the shower.
I know.
You know?
Oops, sorry.
What if I get lavender Dr. Bronner's?
That actually, I don't. It's
Think
I
that
don't.
would help me sleep.
I don't like it.
I
I like
have
the
no idea.
peppermint.
I like the peppermint.
But the lavender is nice for
Like
that
the
occasion.
peppermint.
You know,
Mhm.
it
Okay.
is.
I put little oils in my son's got a vaporizer thing in his room,
There you
yes,
go.
and you
and
can
we put
diffuse
lavender
them.
in there. Yeah, it makes smoke, whatever. It makes steam or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a diffuser.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it diffuses, and it doesn't make him sleep any better. But I'm probably not
Oh,
using I'm
you're not
using the
putting the right
Walmart.
one.
Yeah, screw
Mm.
you, Walmart. I'm
No,
using your
don't
junk.
do that.
It
Using your
is. It's
junk.
that cheap stuff.
So where do I get the the real thing, the pure?
I have started doing Young Living oil. I'm not selling them. I might like in the future, but I've been for about a year now. I've just been trying all the products because I didn't finish a sentence. Products, because I was just very interested in the all natural, and because I do believe that the Lord put things on the earth for us
Marijuana.
to use.
No.
Get the weed. We need
Go ahead.
weed.
Go ahead.
Not at all what I was saying. Like,
Well,
not at all.
it's all natural. There's no other use
they
for
did
it.
just add a CBD line.
CBD oil, yeah.
CBD.
CBD.
Oh, I can't stop. All right, go ahead. So God put the natural oils here for us to use. Who decides what they should be used
Oh
for?
my God.
Who comes up with this, though?
No, I mean, science, I guess. I don't know.
Science tells
Science.
us.
Okay.
Yep.
But I mean, there are like certain things I'm just telling you.
Okay.
It just
Okay.
works. It
Okay.
does.
What works for a cold?
I
Sinus problems.
don't know. I'm not like that. I'm
Well-
still learning.
Oh, I thought you've been doing this for a
I'm
while.
still learning.
Okay.
Well, I bought like they have everything, the shampoos and body wash and
You're just now getting into where you're
toothpaste
learning
Just
about
scratched the
and-
surface.
toothpaste. They have toothpaste with oils in it that like
It's
help.
just oil, probably.
No,
But-
it's not oil.
That's what I'm
it's
wondering. Like
toothpaste.
Oh,
but they make
organic.
Dr.
everything.
Bronner's
They,
makes toothpaste.
they even make the
Do they?
bottles.
Hmm.
It's a seed to seal thing. Like they plant their own stuff and then they even make the bottles that it's in. So there's no, I don't know. You look into it.
I
I,
mean,
don't
that-
want to
that's
take y'all's
getting
time.
really-
Do you eat the bottle?
No, you don't eat the bottle.
If it's okay.
But but the point is that there are ways
Damn
in which if
I'm not down. I don't know anything about the tree hugging stuff I make fun of. So I don't really know anything
Just look
about
into
it.
it.
But
Do some
I'll
research.
check it out.
And
though.
if you don't like it,
Yeah, I'll
don't do
look.
it. No
Right.
big deal.
there you go. That's a good way to do
Is
it.
it expensive? Because see,
Yeah.
all that stuff's so expensive. That's why nobody
it
uses
can
it.
be. It can be. But if you do the member thing, they have everything
There's
too.
always a-
like even
yeah.
the
Get you with a subscription.
No. It's not. Oh my gosh. I don't want to. I just feel like this is not supposed to be.
We're,
on
we're
the
you're not even trying, and we're
She's
turning
in
you
a
into like a
club,
pyramid
and
scheme.
That's like the Masons.
Yes.
She's not allowed to talk about
No,
it.
I can't. I just don't. I
Pentecostal thing.
don't want to waste time on Red Moon.
Okay.
Productions.
All right.
We
That's-
are at like an hour and 20
True,
minutes.
true. I think
so-
that the
DM me if you want to know more about the, about the
Essential
oils.
oils?
Yeah.
all right. So I guess the question is, again, do we prioritize sleep? None of us do. We probably should.
We
No.
should. We
There's
absolutely
so
should.
many other things
It's
more
so
important.
important.
We didn't plan that.
No, not at all. It's important.
Okay.
All right. What's also important is that if they do want to get a hold of us and they want to talk to you about those essential oils,
Mm-hmm.
they should email us.
Sure.
And they can email us easily
At
at
At-
rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
I'm gonna
Mm.
really be working on that. I would really like to do it one time.
Do it now.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm not
Oh.
ready
What do you,
yet.
no, it's right on you right now. The screen is right on you. Right there.
Sean got it?
Sean
Oh, you
had
got
it.
it.
Oh my gosh, that just
It's on
reminded
you.
me. Guess what?
Uh-oh.
Today is our Facebook 9-year friendship anniversary.
Us?
9 years.
That's weird.
How about that,
When
Sean?
was that?
On
Happy-
this very
Was that
day,
a
Happy
lake trip?
9-year
9 years
anniversary.
ago.
I don't think we
I don't
added
even
each
knew
other
you
on
before that.
Facebook
So.
trip.
I don't even know what Facebook was back then. I don't
Well,
think,
I don't know.
so.
I love how they're always like,
I don't know,
you
I
were
just-
friends for this
That's
long.
pretty
And I'm
cool.
like, I've
I'll
known
sh-
this person a lot
I didn't see that pop up on mine.
9 years is a long time, huh?
It is. Time
is.
flies. So, Aaron,
I don't know if it'll pop up again.
could you plug our email right there? I mean, it's sitting right. Yeah, keep going down.
Right here?
That's it.
All right.
People
cool.
can reach
No,
us.
I can't do it. Because I want to have a.
She needs some oils.
I'm thinking,
Yeah, I heard
To
olive
clear-
oil is good for that.
I'm thinking like newscast voice is how I want to do it.
Oh.
So
Oh,
I
you,
gotta,
you want to prepare?
yeah, I gotta
Okay.
mentally prepare.
Okay,
gotta
so not
vocally
this week.
prepare. Not
So
this week,
not
but
you
this
either
week.
do
go
it
there.
again or
Go
let me
there,
do
okay.
it.
Go
One or
there.
the other.
Well,
Let me-
Sean?
let me do my married.
Is it on me?
Oh, that's not that
So I
one. You
can
got to
show it
move
off.
over now. You're not
Oh,
on that.
crap.
That's it, right there.
Showing that rock.
Right there. She is.
Yeah.
Boom, that bling.
RMPodcast at Red Moon Productions.
Beautiful. All right, guys.
All right.
So that about does it for us here.
Don't
on,
go to sleep forever.
Don't.
Just do
Yeah.
it for the night.
Don't go play in traffic
Just
either.
put the show on and.
And then you will. That'll put you to sleep real quick.
Yep.
All right, guys. Until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
You got excited
I,
about that.
well, I
Weird.
love it. I love that
All
you
right,
joined us.
Go ahead.
And of course, filling in for Mr. Keith Cheatham this week.
Aaron Boyd.
So until next time, we'll see
see
you
you
at the movies.
movies.
Oh, we got it right, guys.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.